Okay, I said that carbon is the most abundantly seen atom in the biomolecules. And I asked a question that how many bonds a carbon atom can form? Anyone? Can anyone answer the question? How many bonds a carbon atom can make? Okay, let me explain. So carbon can make 4 bonds, and this is the main property that makes it essential biomolecule. The ability of carbon atom to link with other atoms, as we will see in a minute, with other carbon atoms. A single carbon atom can make bonds with other carbon atoms and oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen. So they account for more than 99% of the atoms found in living things. So what are the 4 atoms that we usually see in living things? Number 1, hydrogen. Number 2, carbon. Number 3, oxygen. And number 4, nitrogen. So let's proceed. Okay, so it is believed that before life evolved, there was a period of chemical evolution. Life like didn't start as like species started from species, right? So there were atoms, they started joining together and they started forming molecules. And these molecules then combined with each other and they formed complex molecules, okay? So we have a simple molecule, we can say a monosaccharide. So this simple molecule connected in different forms, and it got converted into a polysaccharide. Do you guys know what is a saccharide? Anyone? Okay, saccharide is a term for sugar, okay? So a sugar, in other words, we call it a saccharide. So organic bases. So we have the organic bases. So we will see what organic bases are. Basically, these are the simple units of DNA. So you guys may have heard of the DNA, right? Do you know what the DNA is?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So amino acids. So amino acids, they join together and they form proteins, and fatty acids and glycerol, they form lipids. So proteins, lipids, and polysaccharides and nucleic acids, they combined together and they started forming different organelles of cells. Okay, like you may have heard of mitochondria, cell membrane, cell wall, ribosomes. So all of that, the organelles are composed of mainly of these 4 or 5 different types of biomolecules. Any questions so far?
This is really great, Professor. If you want, our students are just getting used to this online kind of interaction, so they may be a little bit shy. But
okay.
This is great. Please go ahead. I think everybody's very attentive to this. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well done. Okay.
Okay, so now let us talk about a monosaccharide, that what basically a monosaccharide is, and let us check the structure of monosaccharide. So here on this page, I have mentioned a little information for you. So a macromolecule is a giant molecule, okay? So there are 3 types of macromolecule in living organisms. When we say macro, it means big, okay? And when we say micro, that means a small, okay? A microchip or a microorganism which you cannot see with the naked eye. And macro is something that you can observe, kind of. So, but in chemistry, in terms of chemistry, macromolecule is a molecule that is composed of many different atoms. So we have 3 main types of macromolecules, which are also biomolecules, that are polysaccharides, which I just mentioned, proteins, and nucleic acids. So let us talk about polysaccharide or carbohydrates. Just give me a minute. I think the switch is not working. Let me check it so that I can connect the charger. I'll be back in a minute. So and in the meanwhile, you guys can think of some questions or some areas, some points which you are not getting so far, which you have not gotten so far.
Okay, perfect. We'll hold on for a minute. Go ahead, Professor.
Good morning.
Hey guys, how's your day going so far?
It's fine. Fine, thank
Good,
you.
good.
Good.
Welcome, Richard. Welcome, Donato, Stefan, Luz. Sorry to send out the notice a little bit late today, but I'm glad you guys made it to the session.
Okay, thanks.
Professor Adnan will be back shortly. He's resetting his connection. Roxana, Daritza, check
It's
in
mute.
case.
It's mute. Okay.
Check in case he's trying to log back in, because I think he's switching devices.
Okay.
So we'll just wait a minute for him to connect back. I think he's going to try from a different device. Okay. We're almost back. So just hold on, guys. Okay, perfect. We can see now.
Okay, so we were talking about carbohydrates, monosaccharides, polysaccharides, and sugars. So a carbohydrate contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. As we are studying about the chemical basis of life, and as I explained that carbon is the atom or the element that is found mostly in living or biomolecules, and along with hydrogen and oxygen. So, okay, so the content that I created is, I think, a little bit complex for the age group that I'm seeing here at the moment. So let me simplify it for you guys. So have you guys ever heard of the carbohydrates before, or do you guys know the formula? Anyone? Is it Mateo? Mateo? Am I pronouncing your name right? Correct?
Mateo.
Mateo. Sorry, Mateo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Professor, yeah.
Okay, so have you heard of carbohydrates before?
No, I never heard about it.
Okay. And is it Jose?
Sorry, what did you say?
I'm referring to another. Okay, let me explain it to you guys. So carbohydrate is basically, so but you may not have heard of the carbohydrate before, but you guys must like sweet things, candies, and all kind of sweet stuff. So the sweet stuff that you eat is chemically a carbohydrate. Okay, so when you try to digest, when you try to eat rice, potatoes, corn, pancakes, so all of these these consumables, they contain carbohydrates because they taste sweet. Okay, so carbohydrates are divided into three main groups: monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Okay, and as I have already explained, that the word saccharide means a sugar or a sweet substance. Okay, so now anyone if asks you that what is potato made of, so you can say safely that I am eating a carbohydrate. Okay, is it clear so far? Okay, so carbohydrates, when you digest carbohydrates, like in the form of glucose or other starchy foods, they give you energy. Okay, they break down in your body in the cells, and with the help of the process of respiration, they release energy. Okay, and that's why when you eat healthy, you feel healthy and you feel energetic, and you can carry on with your routine daily activities. And the person who doesn't eat well, who doesn't take a balanced diet, that person starts losing weight, and eventually that person become or he can easily get sick. So carbohydrates are sweet molecules that in the form of potatoes, rice, and other consumables, and they provide us with energy. Okay, so this is the chemical structure of a monosaccharide, but I think that this might be a little higher from your level. But you can see here what I explained in the beginning, that carbon can make 4 bonds. So this is the carbon atom, and it has formed a chain. Okay, so you can see starting from this carbon at the top. So this carbon is connected with this carbon atom, and this carbon is further connected with this one, all the way to this carbon atom. And the carbon atom, and each carbon atom has formed 4 bonds. Okay, so if you look at this carbon, so this carbon has formed 2 bonds with oxygen, one with this hydrogen, and the 4th one with this carbon. Okay, and if you look at this carbon also has 4 bonds, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so all the carbon atoms in these molecules, in these carbohydrates, have 4 bonds. Okay, so can anyone tell me how many carbon atoms are there in this molecule? Abdias, can you tell me how many carbon atoms do we have in this molecule? Can you count the number of atoms? No? Okay.
I think
Okay,
he's muted. He's muted. I think he's trying to say something.
Oh, okay,
Let me
okay.
see. All right, go. Does anybody else want to give it a try? The number of carbon atoms in the monosaccharide that the professor's got on the screen. Oh, there we go. I see a hand raised. Mateo, go ahead, please.
There are 5 carbons.
Excellent. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But here's another one, 6. So there are 6 carbons. Well, try though. There are 6. If you can count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But I appreciate that you participated and you tried to answer. Well done. So there are 6 carbon atoms in this monosaccharide molecule, and all the carbon atoms have formed 4 bonds. Okay, and you guys might be familiar with the naming of the carbon chains, like if if there are 2 carbon atoms or 3, we call that molecule a specific name. Does anyone know? Like methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl, or pentane. Have you guys heard these names before? Anyone? Jose, can you hear me? Have you heard these names before? Of a pentane, hexane, propane, butane. Okay, no problem. We will learn these when I see the exact syllabus. Okay, so I think, and again this, okay, so let me explain this diagram here for you guys. Here is the molecule that I showed to you guys on the previous slide on the left side, and this molecule can turn into a circle. Okay, so this molecule has formed a circle here. So or you can say a ring. Okay, so a linear molecule, a monosaccharide molecule, can also form a ring structures. Okay, but again, that's I think a bit higher from you guys. But okay, let me skip this one. This is again, I think, a bit higher from your level. Okay, so I look at cells. So they're like, you guys may have studied in your school, that I'm sure that you guys have, that we study 2 different types of cells, and the first one is plant cell and animal cells. Have you guys studied animal and plant cells in the school?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Okay, good. So you
Yeah,
can
I
see.
just, Professor, I just wanted to share one thing. We have a collective group of asynchronous learners. So we might
Okay.
have some students who started 5 days ago, the course or the study at the
Okay.
school, and we might have some that are in their 2nd year or 3rd year.
Okay.
The student kind of chooses which courses, which lessons to do at their own pace. So we have students that are at all different parts of the syllabus, but don't worry, because what you're presenting is an additional benefit from the curriculum. So maybe some of this hasn't been covered yet, but some students have covered it, and when they do get to this point, your content, I think, will be very relevant as kind of like an additional level. So
yes, that's what I'm saying, that the age group is kind of there's a variety of students of variety of age group. So once I get the proper syllabus, so and all the students that are in the class, so I can come up with a relevant content which everyone can understand and participate into. So okay, so here is a picture of a cell, and the previous topic. Stephen, can you please pinpoint that which topic do you want me to repeat? He's writing in the chat box. He wants me to repeat a topic. I can repeat it for you, but can you please tell me which slide or give me the name of the topic? Like, we started from the elements that we have in biomolecules, and we talked about carbon. Okay, monosaccharide. Okay, so a monosaccharide. Okay, let me go back and explain it to you. Monosaccharide is a simplest form of a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates can be very, very complex. So the simplest carbohydrates are glucose that you that the sugar that you put that you put into your tea, or the fructose, and the juice, the fruit juice that you drink, and the sweetness that comes from. So it is because of the monosaccharide. Okay. So monosaccharides are sugars. So sugars dissolve easily in water to form sweet tasting solutions, as I just explained. Okay. And then there are formulas of monosaccharides, which are the simplest carbohydrates, and they can contain 3 carbons, 5 carbons, or 6 carbons. Okay. So up to 6 carbon atoms, we are in the range of monosaccharides. And when we jump from 6, when we go higher, so we enter a disaccharide and then polysaccharide. Okay, so I did not include polysaccharide in this lecture, since this is the first lecture and just an introductory class. So I will explain it to you guys later on. And this is the chemical formula or the chemical structure of a monosaccharide, a simplest carbohydrate, okay, or a sugar that you put in your tea and drink. Is it clear now? Stephen, is it clear? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I was showing you guys a picture here. So can anyone tell me that what type of cell this is? Is it a plant cell or an animal cell? Let me. Okay, excellent, excellent. Donato Soria. Sorry, guys, if I'm pronouncing your names a bit incorrect as the class will proceed. So I'm sure I will get all of your names correct. So how you guessed it that this is an animal cell and not a plant cell? How did you know that?
By the form.
Or it was just a guess? By
the form of the cell.
Yes, but I need a specific answer. What is missing, or what is there that that indicates that this is an animal cell and not a plant cell? Okay, don't worry, let me explain. So the main difference between an animal and... Sorry, please repeat.
The organelles have this.
Yes, yes, well try, well try. I appreciate. So let me explain it further. Excellent. Okay, so as you guys can see here, that the outermost membrane or the outermost layer is the cell surface membrane, okay? And there is no cell wall. So always, so remember that in an animal cell, there is no cell wall, okay? So this is the main thing that differentiates an animal cell from a plant cell. Let me show you a picture of a plant cell. So here it is, okay? So you can, if you can see this grayish outline, so this is basically called a cell wall, okay? So you can see here, it is written here, cell wall. So this cell wall is absent in animal cells, and that is how we differentiate between an animal and a plant cell, okay? So, and the other thing which the student just mentioned, just by looking at the cell organelles, as we can see here that we have this large vacuole. This large vacuole is absent in is in animal cells. We do not see this structure in an animal cell. So this is how you distinguish between an animal and plant cell. But the correct way is to mention the cell wall first and then talk about what's inside, okay? So let's talk about the basic structures that we see in a cell. So we have a nucleus here, like the pink region is a nucleus, and what does it contain, or what does it do? Can anyone answer this? What's the purpose
Keeps
of
the genes, the material genes. I don't know.
Okay, okay, no problem. Can anyone else answer that? What's the function of a nucleus in a cell is? Okay, let me explain. So nucleus contains DNA. Okay, it is a molecule that is very essential for passing the characteristics from parents to offsprings. Okay, it contains all the information for carrying out different functions that a cell does in its entire lifespan. So that molecule, which we call DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, that is inside the nucleus. Okay. Okay, so the red structures that you guys are seeing here are called a mitochondria. So does anyone know that what's the function of mitochondria is? Okay, let me explain. So as I said that so let me explain the function of mitochondria. So what happens is that when you take in food or like the biomolecules, proteins, carbohydrates that provide energy, so these molecules are broken down and eventually get absorbed into the cells. And these biomolecules finally reach these mitochondria, where these molecules are broken down and they release energy. So mitochondria, we can say, is basically a powerhouse of a cell. Okay, it's just like a battery of your cell phone. Okay, like, can you use your cell phone without a battery? Can you?
No, no, it's
Yeah,
impossible.
yeah, it's impossible. Yeah. So in the same way, mitochondria is essential for the functions of the cell in terms of power. Okay, it provides energy to the cell, and the cell can carry out all its functions. Cell replication, synthesis of enzymes, synthesis of proteins, everything takes place within a cell. Okay, and mitochondria is the structure within the cell that is supporting all these processes by generating energy. And how does it generate that energy? By breaking down the molecules, the biomolecules that we eat. Is it clear so far? Any question?
No, it's so clear. Thank you.
Okay, so let's proceed. So here you can see a large vacuole, and the function of vacuole is that in plants, you guys would already know that it requires lots of water. So the fluid balance or the water balance for a plant is very essential. Okay, so like a plant cannot tell you that okay, I'm not thirsty, so do not like pour more water. Okay, it cannot tell you that. So if a human is eating, if you guys are eating, and when you guys feel full, you guys can say that okay, I don't want to eat anymore. So but the plants cannot tell us. Okay, so in the case of overwatering, so the excess water gets accumulated in this large vacuole, and when after some time it is then released inside into the plant. Okay, so this is just a simple function of a vacuole, and it also stores the waste materials or wastes that are produced within the plants after carrying out all the reactions and all the functions of producing oxygen and taking in carbon dioxide from the environment. So waste products are also produced during these reactions. So those waste products are they get accumulated in the vacuole. So similarly, just like animal cell contains a mitochondria, a plant cell also contains a mitochondria. Can anyone tell me the function of mitochondria that I just explained? Anyone?
To almacenate energy.
Excellent, excellent, yes. So mitochondria provides energy, and with that energy, cell can carry out its functions. So here we can see this green structure called chloroplast. So do you guys know the function of chloroplast? Anyone? Okay, sorry, yeah, excellent. Please repeat.
Captures the sunlight, converts
Excellent.
to, yeah.
Yes, yes, and what molecule or what chemical do we have inside chloroplast that does that? Chlorophyll. You may have heard of chlorophyll before, right? You must have heard chlorophyll. Are you guys getting me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes, Professor.
Yes. So this is the molecule that absorbs sunlight and then converts carbon dioxide into and glucose into oxygen, or we can say cellulose. It is just a form of carbohydrate into oxygen and water. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Any questions so far? Something you guys didn't get?
No, I didn't have any questions.
Okay, okay. So in a proper lecture, since this is an introductory class, so we will discuss all these cell structures one by one so that you guys can understand more deeply. Okay, so now we are moving towards the cell cycle. So if you guys observe a human life when a baby is born, so it weighs a few pounds, and with the passage of time that baby grows on and become an adult in the next 16 or 18 years, and then it carry on its different processes that human beings that mostly do the daily routine. It performs the daily routine. So basically a baby that weighs a few pounds is growing. Why is it growing? What's happening? What's causing that growth?
Because the cells of his body are multiplying.
Yes, excellent, excellent. So the number of cells keep on increasing. The cells are multiplying. Okay, so or just like when you go for a haircut and you get a fresh cut, and after 3 or 4 weeks, then again you need to go to the barber to cut your hair, or nails. When you cut your nails, after a few days you need to cut them again. Okay, they grow back. So with these little examples, we can see that cells are regenerating, reproducing and themselves. Okay, so all living organisms grow and reproduce, and living organisms are made of cells. So this means that cells must be able to grow and reproduce. So cells reproduce by dividing and passing on copies of their genes to daughter cells. We will see what genes are in a minute. The process must be very precisely controlled so that no vital genetic information is lost. So as I mentioned before, while showing you guys the structure of a nucleus, so and I mentioned a molecule that is very essential for passing the characteristics from parents to offsprings. What was the name of that molecule, which is inside the nucleus? Can anyone recall? It starts from D.
The DNA, maybe?
Okay, so DNA, so DNA is replicates, and then the cell replicates. Okay, so and DNA is. Could you guys please keep your mics muted, so not to interrupt the learning process. When I ask you a question, then you can unmute and you can answer the question, please. Thank you. Okay, so we have these little structures inside the nucleus that are called chromosomes, and these chromosomes contain DNA. So have you guys heard of the chromosomes before? Anyone?
If I remember fine, if I remember well that I heard, it's the thing that care the DNA in his interior.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. So chromosomes are structures that contain a DNA and they reside inside the nucleus. So this is a structure of a chromosome that contain excuse me, that contains the DNA molecule. Okay, so again, this picture is I think a bit higher from your level, but let me try to explain it to you guys. So this is basically a structure of a chromosome, and the colorful bands that you guys are seeing are called genes. These are the units of the DNA molecule that encode protein. What is the purpose of a gene? That genes are used to make proteins. Okay, they give orders and they contain information to code for a specific type of a protein. Can anyone name? Can any of you guys name a protein? Can you guys give me an example of a protein? What's a protein?
A protein is a chemical that contains energy.
Please, can you please type? I cannot hear you properly. What? Have you guys heard of hemoglobin before? Do you guys know what hemoglobin is? Hemoglobin. Okay, so hemoglobin is an example of a protein that is in our blood. So the reason that the color of our blood is red, that is because of that protein, and which is called a hemoglobin. Okay, so what is the purpose of that protein? So it captures oxygen molecules from lungs, and it transports that oxygen to different cells in the body. Okay, so let me repeat. I was talking about a protein called hemoglobin that is found in our blood, and because of that protein, the blood appears red. And what is the purpose of that? What is the function of that hemoglobin gene protein is that it captures oxygen. Like when we breathe in, we inhale oxygen from the air that surrounds us. And when this mixture of gases, when reaches our lungs, so from there, the hemoglobin in the blood captures the oxygen, okay, and transports it to all the cells in our body. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's all clear.
Okay, so where does hemoglobin come from? How it is manufactured in the body? So it is the genes that give orders to produce hemoglobin, okay? And those genes are present on the chromosomes inside the DNA, and the DNA is inside the nucleus. Okay, so I connected this entire the different concepts starting from the nucleus. Okay, I will repeat, Stephen. So in the nucleus we have DNA. Okay, and that DNA is on chromosomes. Okay, in the nucleus we have chromosomes that contain DNA molecule, which you are seeing here, the chromosome structure you are seeing here on the picture. Well, let me show you a picture of a DNA. Let me copy it right away. It's a double helical structure. You guys may have seen it in your books. Okay, so this molecule, this double helical structure, a ladder-like structure, this is what a DNA molecule looks like. Okay, so this is what present on chromosomes, and the colored parts, like from here, from this point to this point. Okay, this section is called gene. So what gene does is that gene give commands to code for proteins, to synthesize proteins. Okay, let me write it for you guys here. DNA contains genes that give orders to synthesize or to manufacture. Manufacture is an easier word. Proteins in our bodies or in our body. So You guys can see in a chat that DNA contains genes that give orders to manufacture proteins in our body. And I gave the example of a hemoglobin, a protein. And hemoglobin is a protein that absorbs oxygen from the air that we breathe in, from our nose, that goes all the way to the lungs. And from lungs, the oxygen is absorbed by the hemoglobin protein. Is it clear? Stephen, is it clear? Yes, DNA, not ADN, DNA keeps genetic information. Excellent. And what do we mean by genetic information? For example, like if your father has blue eyes, okay, so you will see blue eyes in your offspring, in your siblings as well. You may have blue eyes, or if your mother has green eyes, so your siblings. Okay, so we have a question here. What is what we call the blood cells? No, blood cells are different. Blood cells are a type of cells that do not contain a nucleus. So blood cells are different, but yes, blood cells contain hemoglobin protein. You can say that, yes. Blood cells, they carry hemoglobin within them. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, Stephen, that's good. Okay, so the characteristics, your skin color, your eye color, okay, if you have a straight hair or curly hair, so all these characteristics, they come from a DNA, okay? So if you have a straight hair, it is a protein that is producing straight hair. And if in your brother or sister, her or his hair are curly, so it is a protein that is producing curly hair, okay? And if someone has blue eyes, so it is a protein that is producing that color, and that protein is present in the DNA. So when they reproduce, so this information that when the baby will be born, so will he have straight hair or curly hair? So that depends on the DNA that has been passed on from the parent to the offspring. Okay, so this is why we call it a genetic material or genetic information. So what happens when does a cell divide? Okay, so here is another slide for you guys, that when does the cell decide that it needs to be replicated? So we divide this into 4 main parts. Okay, so the first stage is the G1 phase. Okay, so you can see here G1 is written inside this circle. So what happens in the G1? So when a cell is born, it grows. It starts producing proteins, enzymes. Okay, enzymes are molecules that speed up a chemical reaction. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm about to explain the G1 phase. When a new cell is born or is produced, it starts to grow. Okay, it grows in size. So this is the G1 phase. Okay, in this phase, or during this time period, the cell grows in size. It's very simple. Okay, so G1 is at the time period in which a new cell grows in size. Is it clear? Okay, so after some time, after a few days, we get to another time period, or another phase starts, that is called S phase. So when a cell reaches a certain size, when it grows in size and reaches its maximum size, then it shifts into S phase. And what happens in the S phase is the DNA that we just talked about in length, it divides, it replicates. The DNA molecule make its copies. Is it clear? So what happens in G1? A new cell grows in size. Okay, and then what happens in S phase? The DNA molecule divides. Is it clear? G1, the cell grows in size. Okay, S phase, the DNA molecule, the DNA replicates. What does replication mean? Makes its copy. DNA is like if you have a one DNA molecule, it will be converted into two. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So okay, great. So once the DNA is replicated, the cell enters its third phase, G2. So what happens in G2? The DNA that was synthesized, that was manufactured in the S phase, it is cross-checked. Okay, the DNA is rechecked. As I said, it is a very sensitive molecule, so you do not need, you cannot risk it to be produced broken. Okay, if the DNA replicated, if the replicated DNA is broken, it gets checked and it gets fixed. Yes, G1 grows, S DNA is duplicated, and in G2 the DNA is rechecked. Okay, like when your mom is making something for you, so before she puts the food on your plate, she like tastes it if everything is okay. Okay, so you can relate the G2 phase with this cross-checking, that before putting the food on the table, your mother or you, if you cook, so you check the taste. So the G2 is kind of the taste checking that everything is okay, that what has been cooked, like prepared so far. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay, so in G2, the DNA is cross-checked, the DNA is rechecked, and then finally we enter the M phase, and the M phase is where the cell divides into, one cell is divided into two different cells. Okay, so the DNA is transferred, so the half of the DNA remains in the parent cell, and the half of the cell of the DNA is transferred to daughter cells, and one cell produces a daughter cell. Let me show you a picture of the separation and the division. We are not, this process is called mitosis. The M is denotes, the M denotes mitosis here. So we will in next class we will discuss in detail that what are the different steps of mitosis. But here I'm just telling you guys that the process that lead to mitosis. So if you summarize this, number one, G1 phase. In this phase, the cell grows in size and carry out its different functions. The cell creates proteins, enzymes that are essential for the daily activities of the cell. And once the cell reaches a certain size, when a cell is mature, it enters S phase, where it makes a copy of its DNA. And G2 phase, the third phase is the G2 phase, where the DNA is rechecked, and then finally the cell is ready to replicate. The cell is ready to be divided into or to split into a daughter cell. Let me show you a picture of where a cell is divides into daughter cells. So any questions so far? Okay, just. The G2, yes, of course. Once the DNA is replicated in the S phase, it is rechecked in the G2 phase, okay? I gave the example of your mom cooking food for you, that when she is cooking, she does not give you the food without checking it, without checking the taste, okay? So it is just the checking of the DNA, that the DNA which was synthesized in the previous phase is okay. Is it clear? Okay, thank you. I'm trying to show you a picture, but let me just crop it from this website. I tried to paste the image. Okay, here we go. Okay, so as you guys can see that we have a mother cell here, okay? And this phase is the S phase, okay? The second circle is representing the S phase. You can see here that we have two types of DNA in the mother cell. The one is orange and another one is purple in color. And here you can see that the DNA has been divided, okay? And this is the S phase. And it also contains G2 phase, where the DNA is cross-checked that everything is okay, and it is ready to be passed on to different cells. So now you can see that the cell starts to split up, okay, and half of the DNA is in the fourth diagram. In the fourth stage, you can see that the DNA is again shifting, okay, and the nuclear membrane and the cell membrane is splitting, and finally one cell produces two daughter cells. This is the end process of mitosis, M. Is it clear? And these two daughter cells, again, they start their G1 phase. They start to grow in size and make proteins and enzymes. And then comes the S phase, and then G2 phase, and then M phase. And the process keeps going on and on. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's enough for today. So can anyone wrap it up for me? Can anyone summarize what we just studied in this lecture today? In 3 to 5 minutes. Like from where we started the lecture. we started from biomolecules, right? Yeah, what are biomolecules? Biomolecules are compounds or molecules that contain carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen, right? And these biomolecules that make up the cells and the proteins and the enzymes. So then we talked about different types of biomolecules, carbohydrates and proteins. And I explained carbohydrates a bit. We have different types of carbohydrates. We have a monosaccharide. Monosaccharide is the simplest carbohydrate that you guys use daily. Okay, the sugar on your table that you put in your tea or in your coffee, or so that is a glucose, a simple monosaccharide, a molecule. Okay, and when you take it in, and it becomes a part of your cells. Okay, and it provides energy. Then we talked about the cells, that we have two different types of cells, like on the basis of the organisms. We have plants and animals. Human being, like the living things, are divided mainly into plants and animals, right? So we have two main types of cells. We have a plant cell and we have an animal cell. So how do you differentiate a plant cell from an animal cell? Anyone? Can yes, yes, but yes, the membrane, right? Excellent. The vacuole, excellent. But the main answer to this question is the membrane. Okay, so an animal cell does not contain a cell wall. So, and how to differentiate between an animal and plant cell? The plant cell will contain a cell wall, and an animal cell will not contain a cell wall. So this is the main difference. And then the vacuole, of course, a very prominent reason to differentiate an animal cell into a plant cell, that an animal cell does not contain a vacuole. Okay, so then we talked about the mitochondria. What is a mitochondria? A powerhouse of a cell. It generates a kind of electricity. Okay, it produces energy, which the cell uses to replicate its DNA, to synthesize, to make proteins and enzymes and all that. And then we talked about the cell cycle, and in the cell cycle, we talked about the different stages of a cell's life. Okay, a baby cell, an adult cell, and an old cell. Okay, and a cell reproducing its copies. So the G1 phase, the cell grows in size. Then it enters S phase, where the DNA is replicated. Then the cell enters the G2 phase, where the DNA is cross-checked for any malfunction. Okay, a broken DNA is fixed, and when the DNA is finally ready, the cell finally replicates and splits into two by the process called mitosis, and we call that M phase. And I explained the steps of the simple steps of the mitosis here in this simple diagram, without going into the headings of the mitosis today. Any questions so far?
No, Professor, thank you. It's all clear.
No question.
Okay, okay. Okay, that was it for today. The M topic again. Okay. Is it possible? We have a question. We have two questions. Is it possible to have a copy of recording? Yes, you can talk to the person that let you enter this this class. He can provide.
Sure, sure,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
yes.
Thank
The
you.
idea is to edit the lesson and share it with you guys. We also, Professor Adnan, have some students that obviously didn't make it today. So that way they can also benefit from this. And I think the level that you managed today is great because we have students of all levels. So I really like your summary, and I like what you presented. I think it was very useful. It even brushed up some of my past knowledge on biology and chemistry. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's conclude the session. That was all from my side. And okay, there was one question. If we have like a minute. So the M phase, the M phase is where finally the cell splits into two. Okay, the final stage of the cell life, where cell finally splits into two. That is called M phase, and M is denoting mitosis. Okay, thank you. That was all from my side. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it. Professor, we'll see you the next time. And guys, hope to see you again tomorrow. I think we have a math class. And then next week, I think we will probably have Professor Adnan back. We'll see how his schedule goes. And thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ciao, ciao.